I was recruited in 2018 by a friend who had already been indoctrinated and was in the process of recruiting others. She had reached out to me to reconnect after a long time and she wanted to catch up. Normally, recruiting can happen through street evangelism as well as acquaintances. During what I thought was a casual meetup with a friend, I told her about how I had recently been asking a lot of questions about my purpose and direction in life. At that point, she told me she was also in the same boat and that she actually had found a Bible study that had been insightful to her. So I asked what church it was affiliated with, and she lied to me, saying that it was a non-denominational study group. She then asked me to meet her friend who actually helped lead these studies. I met her friend the following week who began teaching us the Bible 101 on a weekly basis. About a month into our 101 study, the teacher told me there would be a Bible boot camp opening in the DMV area and that I would learn even more. Thus far, I had not seen any red flags, so I decided to go for it. In this class, it was not only first-time learners, but I later learned that they had planted people who were already members to be what they call eyes or leaves. Their job is to befriend new learners and report on everything about us. Little did I know that in 9 months, I was going to be indoctrinated into a high-control religious group. The class happened 3 times a week, and each class was 2 to 3 hours long. Missing is not allowed. You must make up. After 6 months of classes, they revealed their identity that they were Shincheonji, and that the savior of this era, Lee Man-hee, was someone who we had believed in to truly be saved. They also used a lot of fear-based indoctrination, and you are told that outside of Shincheonji it is hell. Once the indoctrination was complete, I was told to sign the church registry, or what they call the Book of Life, with my name, my social security, birth date, and my family's social security and birth dates as well. I was told that social security numbers are needed to make sure that me and my household are all saved at that time. I was expected to join service Wednesdays and Sundays and to go back and be an eye or maintainer for new learners in a class that would happen 3 times a week. I also was expected to attend what they called mindset training on Saturdays and evangelize, as well as attend group meetings weekly. I thought I was doing God's work here, so even though I worked full-time, I joined a new class to now be there as a reporter. I also evangelized and attended Saturday training. In my time there, I met college students who were struggling to keep their grades up, some who even got into a car accident while driving sleep-deprived, some who lost their jobs. But all of these things were commended as persevering for God's work. We were told that our own families can be used by Satan to get in the way of our work for God. I once asked to take care of my dad who was not well to be excused from a meeting, and I was told God's work is more important. Many are told to still attend while they may be sick with the flu or other things. Unless the situation is dire, you must attend service and meetings. They would also ask us to do extreme physical training in which we would stay up all night listening to lectures from South Korea while wearing suits and doing physical exercises in the cold. They took us on an extremely long hike where they told us to put heavy rocks in our backpacks for the long hike to feel the burdens Lee Man-hee felt in establishing Shincheonji. They call this mindset training. They once rented a space to take us for this training. Once we arrived, the leaders checked to make sure no one from outside Shincheonji was present before they started to raise their voices and yell at us and then proceed to give us intense physical exercise. I left Shincheonji after a little over 3 years. During my time there was also a young lady in the college department who attempted to commit suicide. This was not a situation that was disclosed to the church so that others can even pray for her well-being, but rather cover up in good old SCJ fashion. We were once even told to create fake Gmail accounts to send emails to leaders in advocating for H-Dolpyeol. This type of strategy was always used when trying to get the attention of world leaders or important people of power. By 2019, I was given the role of a secretary for one of the college department groups. I was working, taking a few classes on George Mason campus. However, I could not keep up with my classes. I had never failed a class before, but here I was failing one and barely passing another. When I brought this up with my group leader, she told me that these worries are worldly sorrows, not godly ones, and that even though my parents are disappointed, I was at least pleasing God. I was beginning to miss services because I was so sleep deprived and could not wake up from short naps in my car before services. I lost my duty as a secretary, and it felt like God was going to punish me. When 2020 came around and the COVID-19 pandemic hit, the DC Shincheonji church stopped meeting in person as soon as COVID had apparently spread in the original Shincheonji branch. This is when I had the time to myself to finally eat regularly, sleep regularly, and even spend time with loved ones. I could instantly feel my body feeling better. The leader, Lee Man-hee, was arrested for embezzlement at the church during this time and was telling everyone that this was persecution and that COVID-19 was the Great Tribulation prophesied in the book of Revelation in the Bible. I started to read CNN articles, including the one you wrote about Shincheonji. Through this article, I learned about the olive tree movement. We were told that Lee Man-hee had no connection to this movement, which is false. I then came across a story on YouTube by a young lady in the UK who also left the church. I began to realize what I had joined. I later discovered a subreddit group of former Shincheonji members around the world who were sharing their stories, some of whom had left after 10 or 20 years. I also read articles on high-control religious groups and their tactics, through which I recognized I had fallen victim to these tactics. I decided to leave and did not notify anyone in the church. I blocked numbers and cut communication. At this point, people from Shincheonji were showing up to my apartment leaving notes and food items, as well as sending random messages to me on my social media. They eventually stopped trying to contact me, and I was able to begin my healing journey. If you are at all considering leaving the church, please, by all means, leave. You will not regret it. Also, please educate yourself on how cults work. You will be surprised to know that you too were manipulated.